Stanley Mitchell.
Bev Adams and Jim Keller are lending their time to me. Thank you for your service. I'm Stan Mitchell, the numbers guy for the SAMBA Coalition, San Antonio Making Bureaucracies Accountable. The presentation script you're receiving is the same as that delivered to your office on Monday, so you can hold me accountable. The 10 coalitions on page 4 request your vote against the proposed SAW rate increases, which would fund SAWS AMI Smart Meter project. We leave our script at this point because I received Tuesday an emailed response from SAWS to our November 20th open records request. I'll have a copy of my presentation to share with you at the conclusion. Quote, please be advised that Mr. Doug Evanson, SAWS CFO, has not briefed SAWS Board of Trustees on the business case for AMI. The briefing will be conducted in the first quarter of 2018. Paraphrasing, quote, SAWS management has not developed the costs and benefits of their smart meter project, but they will raise our rates to pay for it. I warrant that Mr. Gorzell did not take this matter into consideration when he evaluated SAWS rate increase. Clearly, SAWS management lacks a financial justification for the AMI part of their proposal. Do they have documented economics for the remainder of their proposal? For example, how much of their rate increases will be used to pay for the diseconomies of Vista Ridge? SAWS response prompts this addendum to our presentation scripts, both the copy delivered to your office on Monday and the duplicate we've distributed now. Here are additions to the, quote, 8 parameters of your personal accountability found on page 1 of your presentation. First, the city's organization chart, no changes here, restating this council is accountable for its employees' deceptions, including CEO Puente's fraudulent stonewalling of smart meter project economics. 2, Texas Public Utility Regulatory Acts makes you a utility regulator. But SAWS city staff disrespects you, our elected mayor council, by withholding the critical financial details of their AMI smart meter project, expecting an uninformed council rubber stamp. Recall that CPS city staff similarly duped the council, including then Councilman Ron Nirenberg, when Pat DiGiovanni, remember him? Told the council at their June 11th, 2014 meeting that the CPS Smart Grid project had a 12-year payback, thereby receiving an uninformed council rubber stamp. The consequence of that council's negligence is at attachment D of your script, if you choose to turn to that. Note the omission and error entries in the Gorzell column and the obscenely divergent assessment of project economics on the second page. Here's the spreadsheet that supports CPA Gorzell's positive $145 million 20-year cash flow and 12-year payback projection over 20 years, an incorrect and inappropriate measure of the project's cost. Our coalition spreadsheet here develops the negative $2.36 billion ratepayer burden over the same 20 years. What would a 30-year spreadsheet comparable to this one, displaying the components of the Vista Ridge project, look like? You'll never find out from the Puente, Gorzell, Sculley administration. Financial analysis on presentation page 2. As a council member, your most important duty is to wisely spend taxpayer-generated revenue. But if you are not a financial expert and you cannot trust city staff's analyses, the scenario at E attached to your presentation script, Abengoa, another Solyndra, becomes even more ominous. 4, your sense of economic justice remains reinforced by SAWS' refusal to quantify the financial impact of their AMI smart meter system on the little guy. We have an abundance of little guys in Bexar County, where the median family income in 2015 was 5.4% below the Texas average. Champagne taste, beer pocketbook. 5, Texas Public Information Act. CFO Ben Gorzell's demonstrated contempt for you as financial decision makers has permeated the utilities he, quote, regulates, unquote. The Puente Evans and Gorzell message on this council, to this council is, quote, you approve now, we prepare the supporting information later, after memories fade, unquote. Based on my private sector experience, committing fraud by omission, thereby intentionally misleading an appropriator of funds, is a firing offense. You're being asked to buy a pig in a poke. 6, charter amendment process on page 3 of your presentation. Now do you appreciate that the unelected city staff monopoly will not allow our charter amendment proposal to reach this council for a vote? City staff will not forego its chokehold on financial information, the key to their tyrannical rule. Have you ever wondered who runs this town? 7, your kitchen table. I put a harsh note here. You'll read, you betrayed your lack of financial sophistication by abetting the omission of $465 million in interest issuance costs accompanying the $850 million bond you recently approved. That was then, this is now. Will you today allow a corrupt SAWS city staff cabal to force you to make major financial decisions without documented financial justifications? 8, accountability's consequences. No changes are required here, but our serious allegations become increasingly credible as we learn that SAWS has not developed a business case for their smart meter project. For emphasis, let's reread on page 4, quote, so who is accountable for all this fiscal thuggery? The organization chart shows that you, our elected representatives, are accountable because you are Ms. Sculley's boss, accountable for her behavior and that of her employees. In closing, I have 3 questions, Mayor Nirenberg and Council. 1, will you serve the citizens who elect you or the bureaucracies who manipulate you? 2, do you know enough to claim the Vista Ridge support as your own? If you vote for the rate increase required to finance VR, you vote for VR itself and all its inexplicable financial mysteries. Regulator Gorzell, a CPA, cannot explain the project financials, but he'll let you accept responsibility for the project you support, you own it. 3, will you consider sending SAWS home today, requiring them to return when they have a detailed financial justification for the projects and the rate increases will fund? You would be pleased to help you evaluate SAWS' work. And why must SAWS rate increase requests be granted today? A typical tactic of a high-pressure salesman. Joe will help distribute the script of my presentation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.